Hello, this is the reading of my book, Chapter 1. Hope you like it. Chapter 1, 15th floor, free fall. There I was, hoovering this massive living room in a 6-bedroom house in what was then Zone 6 in Greater London. I believe it was Bromley, southeast of London. I was working as a cleaner at that time, and there were 3 other cleaners working in tandem with me. The big general, Boosie, our boss, was shouting and yelling at us. "You are slower than a slug. Jesus Christ, you are useless, all of you." Yep, I hated her. She was the epitome of all what is wrong with us Brazilians. She was once the oppressed, but now she was the oppressor. Boosie, our real capataz, was Brazilian like the rest of us, but she acted as though she belonged to the last blue-blood European family to walk the face of the earth, and treated us, common cleaners, as if we were a plague disseminating across London. It was a cold December 2015, and I was leaving London with a tourist visa. Don't worry, that is not the case now. However, you are probably aware, dear reader, that many Brazilians do the exact same thing to this day. It's a bad decision, but that's not the point of this chapter. Do you remember the shitty relationship I was talking to you about? Indeed. My ex and I first came to London together. He was a dual national, Portuguese citizenship, and I, well, had nothing. I was just an ordinary Brazilian with a blue visa. At the time, having a blue visa was synonyms of yikes, you're from a third world country. Good luck going through customs. He had promised me, before we went on this adventure together, that we would get married in England so I could have a spouse visa. But lo and behold, we never did. We were immature and not good for one another, but at the time, I didn't see it that way. I held on to the relationship because I wanted to stay in London, even though I hated it at the beginning. I will explain better later. I enjoyed the pseudo-glamour of living in London and the fact that we were travelling a lot together. We happened to visit Liverpool, Manchester, Belfast, Cardiff, Edinburgh. Oh, bittersweet memories. However, despite trying to deceive myself I was in a good relationship, I did not want to be illegal in the country. After 6 months, if you are on a tourist visa, you gotta go, amigo. I didn't want to take the risk of getting caught and not being able to come back to the UK. Immigration was getting tougher and tougher, so I had to make one of the most difficult decisions of my life, to go back to Brazil. And so I did, with loads of uns in my luggage, unmarried, unvisaed, unloved, both by him and by me too. I didn't love myself. My self-esteem was lower than a snake's arsehole. Not to mention, I was skint. No money to my name. I had spent everything on this crazy ride. But there I was, with my tail between my legs, coming back to São Paulo in May 2014. I came back willingly, but I had always hoped, till the last moment, that C was going to ask me to stay. That he would come to his senses and ask me to marry him so I could be an ordinary immigrant in London. I would be able to travel, to pay my taxes, to buy a house. I wouldn't work inhumane hours and live in the shadows as most illegal immigrants and migrants do. Plus, I wouldn't have to work in subempregos, low-income jobs. Don't get me wrong, I have absolutely nothing against working as a cleaner. The treatment we get when we work in jobs such as these is undignified. If people don't treat you like shit, which is 10 a penny in jobs like these, then they will patronize you at some point. Believe me. In the end, I never knew which option is worse. Unfortunately, many migrants, even legal ones, take on jobs like these. In all those years, I have met Italians, Spanish, Brazilians with dual nationality, Latinos with dual nationality, doing cleaning jobs with horrific hours and cruel bosses simply because they didn't speak English. That was not my case in 2014. I was already a translator back then, although I was far from having an advanced English. Yep, I thought I had. I thought I had it though. How naive was I? But I could get by really well. Except, however, I did not have the bloody visa. And without a visa, my friend, you were pretty much like Batman da favela, living in the shadows, on the margins of society. When I came back to Brazil, I felt the biggest loser on the planet. I felt like a failure. I used to feel that sinking feeling in my stomach 24 hours a day. I saw the look of pity on my parents' face. To make things worse, to make things even worse, C didn't have the balls to break up with me. Why men are such cowards, I can never fathom. And I, with my low self-esteem and my self-hatred, couldn't do it either. We held on to a shitty relationship for a few months, and I felt like throwing up whenever I saw updates on his Facebook page. In June of that year, after a lot of toing and froing, I broke up with him. I became really depressed afterwards, and I had to go to therapy for good long months. I'm not gonna lie, these were dark times, and I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I felt anger, sadness, hate, and a desire for vengeance most of the time. I felt I felt really I felt really ill a few times, and I remember my mom praying for me every day and night. In May 2015, though, a year later, when dark times were behind me and I thought I was almost fully recovered, I decided to go to the United States, where my auntie, my cousins, and my grandmother, all on my mother's side, live. I spent 6 months there, 6 months in which many things happened. But I might tell you a few bits and bobs later in this book. The main point is, dear reader, in late October 2015, I was back in Europe. Mental? Tell me about it. In November, I was back in London, working, ainda com visto de turismo, as a cleaner for La Puta Dulce. And the worst thing is, she was only the first one to treat me like dog shit. Many others did the same after her. But fear not, dear reader, I survived. That's what differs us, immigrants, to the rest of our beloved Europeans. We are Brazilians, and Brazilians dão sempre jeitinho, for better or for worse. I hope you enjoyed this chapter, and I still need to make a few tweaks. I want to leave these Brazilians here with an S because this is part of our identity. I don't like Brazilians with a Z, although I know it's the correct way of spelling it. And if you liked this content and you want to be part of a group that discusses the chapters and discusses the vocabulary I used and other bits and bobs, join me in one of my memberships, the Golden Membership, on my blog on Buy Me a Coffee. And if you liked it, just comment down or just give me your feedback. I would love to hear from you. I was a bit nervous, so I do apologize for any mistakes I might have made. See you next time. Bye.